Hi guys, welcome to the Krylo Ren channel. It's Kongu as always, and today I'm just going to be having a look at whether Ahsoka is pretty much dead in Rise of Skywalker or not. I know there's countless of theories, obviously, because you hear Ahsoka's Force Ghost at the end of Rise of Skywalker, right? Well, you hear her voice amongst other confirmed dead Jedi. I think all of them are actually confirmed dead except for Ahsoka at that point. Obviously you hear her when Rey gets her all the power of the Jedi power up, which in itself is silly, but it's very interesting actually, because at this point in time we've never sort of seen through the Force, say a Force Ghost and someone that's alive sort of converse with someone else that's alive, if you get what I mean. Like usually when a Force Ghost appears, only one person is seeing it, and this can go back to the original trilogy, right, where Luke, he can see his dad, Anakin, and Obi-Wan and Yoda, but it didn't seem that Leia could. Then you get to the prequel trilogy, right, and only Qui-Gon can call out to Anakin at that time, but then obviously Yoda finds the power to commune with Qui-Gon, and then he teaches it to Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan never sees Qui-Gon at that point, which is pretty strange. So yeah, like usually when Force Ghosts appear, it's usually from like what we've seen in the films, right? It's usually only one person can see them. So why do I want to talk about this anyway? Because well, I guess we gotta obviously see what Filoni said, right? Filoni had an interview about this, like this particular thing. Like, okay, like he was asked, look, how is Ahsoka dead, basically? He was asked to confirm or deny whether Ahsoka is dead, and he basically said something along the effect of basically, because you heard Ahsoka at the end there with the Force Ghost doesn't actually confirm she's dead. He did point to the fact that Luke can like feel out to Leia with the Force, Darth Vader did to Luke. There's been plenty of times where two Jedi have conversed with each other through the Force. I mean, Rey and Kylo Ren do it for the last two films, right? My problem with that is that two live Jedi could converse with each other, but when it's like an antenna thing, right? Like when you mix having Ahsoka alive and only come at that point, like not help the Resistance in any way, is puzzling to me. Basically, it's very puzzling. So like having her there could only feel to me like she's kind of dead, right? So for me, if I only had watched Rise of Skywalker, I would probably think Ahsoka is dead. I would literally be like, okay, she's probably dead. Now Dave Filoni, he obviously gave that rebuttal, so of course in his mind, like Ahsoka is definitely not dead. I think what's gone on here is that Ahsoka was probably added to that last bit because obviously they wanted to tie everything in. So Ahsoka was probably added to that Force Ghost list without Filoni knowing at first. I really think that might be the case, and now he has to backtrack. Another reason why I'm bringing this whole thing up is because obviously the Veil of the Force, Ahsoka has already been saved through the Veil of the Force before. So what we could be seeing here, which would allow Disney to retcon the whole of Rise of Skywalker, they can pretty much just say that the timeline that Rise of Skywalker takes place is the Rebels timeline where Ahsoka dies in, and that Rebels timeline is not a part of Mandalorian, right? Because in Mandalorian, Ahsoka is alive, okay? So basically, Mandalorian is a direct continuation of Star Wars Rebels in the way that it was set up, which I'll get onto in a bit. That is very intriguing because Rise of Skywalker has a Force Ghost Ahsoka, right? Ahsoka gets killed by Vader in Star Wars Rebels, right? She gets saved by Ezra Bridger through the Veil of the Force. And we see the Veil of the Force in Rise of Skywalker, guys. It's the dark ray, the thing that dark ray comes out of, that is not confirmed as the Veil of the Force, but acts in the exact same way that the Veil of the Force does, like has the same properties. So I'm very intrigued to see how they play that out, or how Filoni plays that out, right? Because I think essentially what's happened is that Ahsoka was used for that Force Ghost bit without being consulted, without consulting the proper channels. Filoni's like, oh wait, I had plans for this character, like what are you doing? He has basically not denied it, and he's sort of already retconned it. He's basically retconned that bit slightly by saying you don't have to be dead to converse at that point. But then we all know, obviously, if you're a Jedi like Ahsoka, you probably would have got yourself involved in this fight. Technically, it makes sense that a Force user would be able to make themselves heard to someone else, but in actual Star Wars film canon, that doesn't make sense because it's never happened before, right? And I mean, like live Jedi to live Jedis has happened, but it doesn't make sense for me for one live Jedi to accompany a group of Force ghosts to G up Rey, and that's the thing that I have problem with most, right? I did mention the Veil of the Force before, and this basically gives Filoni a way to get out of this sort of Ahsoka being a Force ghost, I think, and that is very interesting to actually look at. She is obviously looking for Thrawn in The Mandalorian season 2. That is the only person she name drops, right? At the end of Rebels, she's looking for Ezra. Obviously, if you know Rebels, right, Ezra and Thrawn should, in theory, be in the same place. Or, yeah, I mean, if you find one, then you get information about the other character. That's how it's going to work out. That's how it's going to play out. She has big plans. She has her own TV show. She's like, yeah, she's very much a front and center character in sort of Filoni's Star Wars verse. But there's always going to be that like lingering thing where like, okay, does she actually die after this? Is that why she's a Force ghost in The Rise of Skywalker? Because that does happen further on. Like Mandalorian happens before, like on the timeline it's before Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, I mean, there's still time for her to do what she needs to do and then die. And that's how she could be a Force ghost. Yeah, I mean, it could be that Filoni is just throwing people off the trail and it's like, oh no, she could still be alive, it's fine. Yeah, it would be a perfect end that she sacrifices herself or something like that for the Jedi cause, where she's like sort of disillusioned by it now. I could see that happening, and then that's how she becomes a Force ghost, right? Because it's not easy to become a Force ghost. It's not easy to become one with the Force, because if it was easy, all Jedi would be like a Force ghost. So it's a hard thing to do. I think like you have a perfect chance to retcon this with the Veil of the Force and just say the Rise of Skywalker is on a different timeline. But at the same time, I think the way Filoni talked about it, I just think they're just gonna forget that Rise of Skywalker, like that you heard Ahsoka on Rise of Skywalker. They're just gonna completely disregard that bit. But yeah, she's definitely there. And if you guys are wondering about whether they filmed like actual scenes, I know there was rumors that Anakin, like Hayden Christensen, was on set. I can't see any confirmation anywhere that the film, that the Force ghosts portrayed there were filmed in live action or whatnot. But if they did, that would pretty much confirm that Ahsoka was dead. But from everything that I've looked at, all the information, I could not find a single piece of information supporting that was actually filmed. A lot of the directors say no, we thought it would be more powerful if it was just voices as opposed to having the people there themselves. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Ahsoka being a Force ghost, I mean, I think it's pretty much there. I mean, she definitely is a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker. Does this mean that she's gonna die? The way Filoni talked about it, no. She's going to be a very much a front and center character in his Star Wars universe. So yeah, the backtrack was there. Didn't make logical sense to me, but yeah, you can definitely expect Ahsoka going forward, and probably less of Rey and the gang. Yeah. So yeah, that's me, guys. I've been Congru, and I will see you next time. Peace.